Tom Price, and we are now full of fuel and water and all the rest of it. We've got coffee, and we have just entered the rail access road, the Rio Tinto road. We've got our permit, we are set to go, and there's a sign that says grader ahead. I don't know whether that's real or whether they just put the sign there all the time. I'm not sure you can hear a word I'm saying because the radio is just chattering and chattering and chattering. But anyway, we are on the road. Realise that we're only on the very first section of this road, but in comparison to the roads in Karratha, this is like a highway. It is so smooth, but we'll see if it continues. We've still got another couple of hours on it, so yeah, we could get sections that are worse yet. Done some pretty rough roads to get to Millstream. Just opened up the van, couldn't quite figure out what all of this was, thought that is an awful lot of red dust got in and why is it there. Then it smelt like coffee, and then I discovered that the coffee jar has fallen over, the lid has come off, and all of the coffee is on the floor.
G'day guys, welcome to part 2 of our road trip. We arrived in Millstream Chichester National Park yesterday, staying at the Campground, which we'll show you. In this part we will be heading to Cleaverville next.
Yep, just going to the beach, get clean.
And then Onslow, and we'll see what else we add after that. So keep watching. Hopefully we'll show you a lot more epic scenery and the ocean. So this is the Campground in Millstream Chichester National Park. That's us over there. Beautiful big sites in this area. We drove around Stargazers, which is another camping area, and it was a lot more open, less trees and smaller sites. There were some van sites, but on the whole they were generally smaller. Got some typical deep or long drops over there. They were nice and clean, and the camp kitchen there we're going to show you. That's got a bit of shade now, which is going to be lovely because it's 36 degrees today. And this is the camp kitchen, which is pretty impressive. 4 burners there, barbecue there, and hot water for washing up. It's a big solar hot water system there. But yeah, this is
lights
on the snazziest deep or camp kitchens I've seen.
Yeah.
Amazing. And picnic benches, and there's some more over there in the shade.
There's quite a lot of picnic benches, even just over by the homestead there was picnic benches and gas barbecues there. And down at Deep Reach Pool there was loads of gas barbecues as well as down there.
Yeah.
So all just on cylinders, so presumably the ranger's house is there, so presumably he just replaces them when they're done. And yeah. Seems to have a few
Very
more
well.
amenities for people in some ways.
It does, even than Karratha, which is
Yeah.
much more popular. A lot of empty sites. So. And now we have come down to Deep Reach Pool to have a swim and a float. Anyway, we'll go down and suss it out and let you know what we find.
Hopefully there's water in it. Where's my cocktail?
It's beautiful. We're just having a float at the moment, but you can swim in here, which I might do in a minute to get myself fully immersed. But it's amazing. There are a few people having picnics here, but we're the only ones in the water. It's just like this is a serious chunk of water, and it just seems like in the middle of nowhere.
Driven to the lookout, or cliff edge lookout I think it's called, and you can see here the continuation of the water we were just floating in. We think we're still not quite sure if this is a river or if this is a pool, but we'll try and find that out. It's just got such a different feel to Karratha. It feels quite tropical. There's a lot of palm trees, which seems quite strange for WA. It's just beautiful, very green, and it's right at the end of the dry, so I think it gets even more lush in the wet season. Just going into the homestead, which was established in 1919.
Just over 100 years old.
It's a beautiful old style home and a real little tranquil oasis.
Can I help you, miss?
Like the Great Northern.
Seems like we're out. Fridge is bare. Oh wow. This is the kitchen for the house, I assume. Rather than the kitchen being in the house, you cooked through here.
I guess it helped keep the house cool then, didn't it? Cause
yeah, I guess it had a big fire. And
I assume that was the log store to then pull the wood in for the fire. It's like an old-fashioned arbor. And then the tap, which was to give me hot water.
Mm. Ranger's office over here, and I think on top of the ranger's office there's a phone antenna. We've got really good 4G on our Optus over here. We did have good signal at Karratha, but it's even better here. once again you do marvel at the hardness of people coming to live in these places. I guess with the Fortescue River and the aquifer that it supplies it, you get...
Oh yeah, we figured it out, it's the river.
Yeah. So you get like a all year round water supply. Now there's loads of droppings around here, and I've seen Ronnie Dell do this, and if you find a dropping, brush off any bits and
What are you doing?
that's definitely kangaroo.
Don't eat that.
You can tell. You want to try some?
No.
It's kangaroo. So what have you got, man?
I have got some native plums, Canthium lafifolium. They're
Otherwise known as the bunga.
the bunga tree that develops these little berries. There's a big sign here, so we assume this is the said tree, and we've picked a few berries on our walk.
They're all right.
So you will all know that this can mean only one thing. We got bogged or someone else got bogged. What happened?
Well, we get to Cleaverville and the bloke at one of the caretakers says, site 5, bit boggy, try this one or this one. We had a look at site 4, wasn't as nice. Came down, had a look at site 5, thought, nah, we'll be good. Alright, an hour and a bit later,
with a little help from some unknown friends,
yeah, we got out and the van's parked. It is a beautiful spot. I'm reasonably confident that we'll get out when it comes to leaving in a couple of days, but
yeah. So the most challenging thing about it was soft sand, but it didn't look too soft when we came and surveyed the area. But the biggest issue was that when we came in here, we then had to do this big circle turn, and the car hit this boggy section down here and the van just didn't come any further. So eventually, it was a pretty tight turning circle anyway. Ow, the sand's actually really hot. Pretty tight turning circle anyway to get round, but eventually we have got round, and now the van is in a slightly different position to you'd probably normally put it, but the car is on fairly firm ground and can pull it out. And the tyres are currently all at about 15 psi on the van and the car. We went down on the car initially to 25 and didn't do anything with the van, and so the people that came and helped us done a lot of caravanning on Fraser Island and four-wheel driving on Fraser Island, so they were really helpful.
rescuing people on Fraser Island.
They said they will remember us, yeah, he said, nah, all your tyres down to 15, and it did make a difference. All the tracks got to put to use, and yeah,
Oh, look, the screw.
we're good. Very hot.
Good morning, this is our first morning at Cleaverville. I don't know whether you can see, but the van's up there behind us on the hill. We've come for a little walk down to the rock pools. Really windy last night. The whole camp is covered in sand, which we'll sort out at some point. There's no rush. Slept well though. Good night's sleep last night. And we're going to do a bit of exploring today. So we're having a look around the campground. I said little rock pools at the moment, and then we're going to go out to Dampier today, and get to see the red dog statue, because that's what you got to do. And probably going to get some lunch out as well. Maybe at the Mermaid Hotel. Maybe there's a brewery in Karratha. So yeah, we'll continue to show you around. And it's still this morning. Haven't spotted any whales out there yet, but I'm sure they'll be doing their thing soon.
And the guy in the caravan next to us yesterday was on the beach just pulling oysters off the rocks and eating them. We're not really sure. Well, we know which ones are oysters, know what they look like when they come on our plate, but we're not quite sure what to do when we pull them off a rock.
And we like them Kilpatrick if we eat oysters, because then they don't taste of oyster.
He said they were a little but really sweet.
So we think all these white blobs are oysters. We haven't got a knife, don't know how to shuck them, and not really sure which bit to eat. Spiny sea urchin, I'm not sure whether you can see it from out here, so we're going in. So this is the boat ramp at Cleaverville, onto the river, which obviously then leads into the ocean. The tide's out at the moment. I've got all these mangroves around, and Mandy was just saying it does feel like, you know, you should have crocs here. That's the way out to the ocean. It is beautiful again. Yes, we had a little bit of wind last night, as I said. You can see there's sand over absolutely everything. After this, we've got another 2 nights here, which is awesome because it is beautiful, and I'm waiting for the tide to come in to get some more photos. But we got 2 nights in the caravan park in Onslow. Some of that might be washing and cleaning as well as exploring. Yesterday's bogging meant we let the tyre pressures down to about 15, which on the van and the car, which meant we could get out where we were. So just now putting air back in the tyres, ready for hitting the bitumen later on today. We'll leave the van down until we've got it out. Yeah, it was all a bit of an adventure. I think the softness and the bend is what really killed us. One of the things I find a pain with compressors is that you have to pop your bonnet using clamps, attach it to your car battery. So what I've done is cut the clamps off and put an Anderson plug. So I can plug it directly into my Anderson plug on the back of the car. And I don't have to pop the bonnet or fuck around with clamps. And it also reaches the van easier as well. So when you're attached to the car, you can do the van tyres easier. Look who I've got behind me. It's Red Dog. We've made it to Dampier and the famous Red Dog statue. Red Dog was born in 1971, yeah, same year as me, and unfortunately died at the age of 8 in 1979. We're going to be going out to the place where Red Dog's buried. Cossack.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're here.
We've drove into Dampier and had a little look at Red Dog's statue. Town's pretty small and really set up for the mine as much as anything, or the salt operations. We've now come out to Herson Cove, which is a gorgeous little sheltered beach, and we're going to have a sit for a little while, put the car awning up and enjoy a bit of sunshine.
Oh, Baywatch moment coming up. Here we go. You can hear sirens. It's something to do with a big gas plant that we drove past on the way in.
So we've ended up at the Northwest Brewing Company. We've just ordered our steak sandwiches, which apparently are award-winning steak sandwiches.
We've just come out for a morning walk and a bit of an explore, check out some of the other sites. When the tide is out, it's a really rocky coastline. Not sure how great it ever would be for swimming here or fishing, because you'd be snagged. You probably need a tinny and put it in at the boat ramp.
So we are at Cossack, which is a historic town just up towards Point Samson. We just had a coffee from the cafe here. Some beautiful old buildings that have been very well restored and maintained. Now we're going to have a little wander around. So we're now in the police quarters and jail of Cossack. Looks like we have a criminal here. What did you do? What was your crime?
I got an English woman drunk.
Oh. How long did you get in the slammer?
6 months.
It does seem that the penalties were pretty harsh, probably why the crime rates were lower. It was then identified as a quarantine site for leprosy. We had that somewhere outside the town, but it was later deemed unsuitable because it had no shower. What's always amazing about these places is these buildings would have all been built by hand, essentially. So I don't know where they got the rocks from.
Well, I guess they were quarried locally, I would assume.
We did come past a quarry, maybe they're still quarried. But yeah, there's such attention to detail and such elaborate buildings, really, considering the effort that must have had to go into them to build them. So some of this wall is part of the original wall of the port. So this was the only port between Port Gregory and Darwin initially, and continued to be used until it silted up in about the 1900s, and then they moved it to Point Samson, and moved the pearling operations to Broome. And so the town really became uninhabited. Nobody's lived here anymore.
That was his Settlers Beach. This isn't where they used to come for a swim. This is where the post got dropped off and some boats were unloaded that had too deep a draft to get up the river. It's a glassy day today, hardly a breath of wind, and apparently there's been a croc spotted, like an estuarine, not a shoe, a proper estuarine saltwater crocodile, which is actually south of here, quite a way offshore near an island. But yeah, let's see if I can find the headline and I'll drop it in. But a bloody big croc. Right, I think we're going to go to Point Samson and find a beach to swim in. So we have come to Point Samson. This is the most northern part of WA that we've driven to. We have been to Broome. You'll probably see that in a previous video if you watch our videos. We have come to Honeymoon Cove Beach. It's amazing. The water's glassy clear. I think the tide's gradually on its way out, and it is just a total glass off today. Can't even see the horizon. There's lots of little fish. Sure, I've seen turtles sticking their heads up. Seen whales on the horizon, and Mandy's over there. We're going to have some lunch. At some point we're going to have a Magnum ice cream because I've been craving one of those, and then make it back to Cleaverville for our last night.
So just getting ready to leave Cleaverville. We've had a great few nights here, and we're going to end the episode here. The final part of the episode will just be making sure we can get the van out of the site without getting bogged. So Mark's just deflated the tyres on the car. Tyres are still down to 15 on the van from when we got bogged coming in. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying these videos. Another one coming soon as we move on to Onslow. Thanks guys. minutes to get out, 2 hours to get in.